you so much for doing this. I'm really excited to ask you these questions as someone who I never interviewed you for StudentCam before, but I always wanted to. So thank you so much for doing this. So I guess to start off, if you could just briefly maybe explain your name, who you are, what you do.
Well, I'm Bill Cowles, and I'm the Orange County, Florida Supervisor of Elections. And in the state of Florida, the Supervisor of Elections is an elected position, and I just got reelected for my 7th term as the Orange County Supervisor of Elections. And our job as Supervisor of Elections are, one, obviously to conduct elections for the federal level, for state, and then county, and then for cities. But also at the same time, we also do voter registration. We're responsible for keeping the voter roll, and was also responsible for voter education. And in the role of voter education, one of the things that I have done since I've been supervisor is get into the high schools and interact with high school students and doing voter education and registering them to vote.
I think one of the great things about StudentCam is that students get to pick their own topics. And what has that been like for you to see younger kids who haven't even been able to vote yet ask you questions about voting?
You know, it's interesting to see what they think the hot topic is, particularly when they reach out to me to participate, because it's about the election process. And so from that thing, we've had everything from the black money to, you know, with the PAC groups and at the federal level, to also the registration process, to voting security. So it's always interesting to see from the student standpoint, and a lot of it is driven by current topics that are going on, whether we're in election season or we're not in election season, as to what the student is perceiving, and it is a great chance to be a learning experience. And I think a lot of times the students need to do a lot of research before they jump to doing the interview. And becoming familiar with it, because I know that on the one about the black money was difficult because of the fact that at my level, we don't deal with the Federal Elections Commission, who oversees all the funding issues. So the student kind of caught me off guard with the federal questions. And again, I don't think either one of us was properly prepared for it. So, you know, I think the key issue is to be prepared as for the topics. But the topics, I also think, come based on what current events are, because obviously here in Florida, we saw a huge interest in the voter registration after the Marjorie Stone Douglas High School shooting down in South Florida, and then the massive effort that the students down there started nationwide on voter registration. So that led to the voter registration.
Kind of connecting to that, did you have any questions that when asked you were really excited to share or answer?
No, but I think it goes back to one of the things that I see across the board, even when I work with the local media, because information is so readily available. But in 2020, in the election world, we know there was so much misinformation being given out. So the opportunity for me to give out the correct information is always welcome. But I think the student, and no matter where they go in their career, in broadcasting or behind the camera, whatever, they need to do the research before they start popping the questions. And so from that standpoint, so the students who came in who had a very structured plan for their presentation, and they knew where they wanted to go and asking questions. So a lot of them were being the voting registration process, a lot of it about turnout. So from that standpoint, when a student had done a story or had a story in their mind about how they wanted to go through it and had done their research, that's when it made the interview more enjoyable.
What has been an effective way for students to reach you and your offices? Is there a particular method that you prefer or that you recommend students try? Or
Yeah, one of the things I am known for here in the county is to be very accessible in terms that people know that I'm approachable and all. And the other part too is with me being on the high school campuses and participating, doing voter registration presentations in the various government classes, I'm more accessible because I'm there on campus as well. So we do have a young lady who graduated from UCF with a background in communications. And so she's kind of worked her way into being my media contact person. And she too can help get the students up and ready to talk to me or to work on their background for their story.
Touching back on the lack of research, what are some interview moments that you've had, maybe with StudentCam, maybe just with other journalists and reporters, that you think maybe could have gone a little bit better or smoother if they just did something else a little bit differently?
You know, I think a lot of it goes back to those key points that research, script it out, know your questions, know what you want to elicit, know what my area of responsibility is, or have that pre-discussion to know what my realm is, to be able to help the student understand whatever it is, or to help promote the area that they are interested in incorporating into their project.
And I guess on the other end, what was the best StudentCam interview or just interview that you've had, and why was that so effective?
No, I think again, it goes back to preparation. You know, on some points it's like, as one that you might be familiar with, is I got pulled out of the classroom and directly over into the studio and got hit with questions. And it, you know, again, a little more advanced preparation for everybody. I mean, whether on that part, but the ones who come in and they know the direction they want to go in with their story, and they know what I can contribute as the expert in the election field to help support their presentation or their story is important. And those who come in prepared, they have their outline, and they've seen the big picture. Instead of starting with me, you know, it should be more of me at the end to put into their story and fit into their story. So they need to see the big picture, what they want to accomplish before they start doing the interviews and getting their pieces for the interview. Now, it may change, obviously, because I may share something that they hadn't thought about and they need to go back and rethink. And that, you know, only is going to help them add value to their product.
I guess for the last question, so one of the things that I talked about as an intern in these videos that I've been doing is the importance of gratitude. And I think one really excellent and awesome way to do that is by writing thank you notes. So I was wondering if you've gotten any thank you notes or thank you emails, and what have those meant to you after going through that interview with a student and seeing them grow and learn, whether that's with Black Money or voter registration, going through that process with them and then getting that little moment of gratitude?
Well, it's always appreciated. And I think more so in this situation because it shows that there was a connection, that we connected, that they appreciated from our end taking the time, but on our end, we appreciate the fact that they are creating products that can help others understand with any aspect of the election process that they're focusing on. So I think that the other thing is respect. Again, it shows that they respected, just like with you, it's always great to hear progress and progression and what's next, you know, for the student and how they're doing, how they're advancing in their career.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know I just talked about thank you notes, but really thank you so much for being willing to be interviewed. And I think a lot of kids will get out of this too, because I think interviews and that it's just a key component of creating a good documentary, but also just learning how to be professional and how to speak and converse with adults. Like, that's a big life skill. So thank you for helping kids learn that. And give them a space where it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to work through those errors, and it's okay to research and all that stuff. So
best of luck.
You too. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you.
Same to you. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.